Good morning, all. Happy Mother's Day, and welcome to Second Unitarian Church. I'm John Broom, a member of the church's Board of Trustees, and my pronouns are he and him. In response to COVID-19, we at 2U are doing our part in slowing the spread of the virus. We're continuing to meet virtually using Zoom. You'll notice that there's a chat feed available for you to interact with, and you're welcome to use that to say hello to one another and share your joys and concerns when we reach that time in the service. When we would traditionally sing together and read things in unison, you're encouraged to do so as well, even though you're on mute. Our voices echo through the world, and we might just hear one another if we listen closely and sing with our full spirit. As things continue to change, we will be paying close attention to the recommendations of public health officials and respond as quickly as we can. But at this time, we continue to recognize physical distancing as an act of love and protection. We especially welcome newcomers this morning. During this time of pandemic, finding a new community and making new connections can be difficult. Please know we're excited to have you here and look forward to getting to know you. If you're new to us today, you're welcome to note that up in the chat. And following service today, all children's religious education classes are happening. Our worship today is led by Janice Stashwick, along with worship associate Ellen Rocket and cellist leader Lucas. Our music is provided by Carl Kennedy, Myra Epping, Jim Redlick, and our music director, Amanda Thomas. Our tech team members are Amanda Thompson, Dan Ashley, Harris McKee, John Houck, Eric Schutzler, and David Martin. I have a couple of announcements this morning. First of all, are you someone who's interested in our Lifespan Faith Development Program? Are you curious about how best to educate our congregation from the youngest up through the oldest about spiritual life? Unitarian Universalism, racial justice, and more? The Lifespan Faith Development Committee is planning an in-person retreat at the church on Sunday, June 19 from noon until 2. This will be a time for reflecting on the vision and possibilities of our children through adult programming. If you're interested in attending, please contact Alicia Obando, our Director of Faith Development. And as you may have seen through the email, the Capital Campaign Building Committee has chosen an architect to help us move forward in our progress of imagining what's possible for our building. The firm is Harbo Architects, and they're known for working on historical buildings, including the Unitarian Universalist Church in Oak Park, Unity Temple. In the coming weeks, you will receive a survey so that we can get your ideas of what you think is most important for us to work on. We need to know how to address the roof and redo the sanctuary floors, but there are a multitude of other options, and your opinions are all vital in the process. Keep your eye out for that survey. You can find more information in the order of service, and I now welcome Ellen Rocket to lead our call to worship.
We are a Unitarian Universalist congregation, a community of children, youth, and adults, a people of many beliefs and traditions, bound not by the specific list of things we believe, but the values we share. Whether you are joining us for the first time or for the 1,000th time, you are welcome here. Whether you believe in God some of the time, all of the time, or none of the time, you are welcome here. Whatever your race, whomever you love, whichever way you move in the world, however much money is in your pocket, you are welcome here. I invite you, as you feel ready, to take a breath in and out. As the music begins, let us enter into our service together.
Ancient Mother, I hear you calling. Ancient Mother, I hear your song. Ancient Mother, I feel your laughter. Ancient Mother, I taste your tears. Ancient Mother, I hear you calling. Ancient Mother, I hear your song. Ancient
Good morning. In just a moment, Lucas will light our chalice, the symbol of our faith. We light our chalice this morning with these words. We light our chalice for those who mother, to celebrate those who have taken on the task of mothering a young one into adulthood and beyond, to celebrate those who have nourished the light of truth and compassion in growing minds and hearts, to celebrate those who have committed time, money, energy to the growth of others in this world. We light this chalice to celebrate and hold dear that flame of love. Lucas, would you please light our chalice?
Good morning. Please join me in singing our opening hymn, number 347, Gather the Spirit. The words will be on your screen. There they are. The words are on your screen. Witness the mystery
join me in reciting our covenant. We covenant to build a community that challenges us to grow and empowers us to honor the truth within ourselves. We will be generous with our gifts and honest in our communication, holding faithful to a love that embraces both diversity and conflict. Called by our living tradition, we will nurture spirituality within a vision of the eternal, living out our inner convictions through struggles for justice and acts of compassion. Please join Myra and Jim in singing our congregational hymn, Spirit of Life.
I believe it number one. No. Spirit of life, come unto me. Sing in my heart all the stirrings of compassion. Blow in the wind, rise in the sea, move in the hand, giving life the shape of justice. Roots hold me close, wings set me free. Spirit of life, come to me, come to me.
It is now time for our Story for All Ages, and today we have a special Mother's Day message from our young people. So it is a good time to invite not only your young ones, but your whole family to join the service. I compiled the videos that I was sent, but I decided not to edit them, but let the pure voices of our young ones shine through. So let's see that video now.
Okay, so my mother, she's special because she helps our family, does the laundry, and makes all the food. I do help sometimes, and she's the best. I love her.
Thank you, Mom, for everything you do, like making my breakfast and spending time having fun with me.
Happy Mother's Day, and thank you for everything. I really do appreciate it. So, happy Mother's Day.
Happy Mother's Day, Mama. Thank you for being the best mama in the world. I love you.
I love you, Mom. Have a happy Mother's Day.
The reason I like my mom is because she feeds me and she takes good care of me and she's really nice to me.
On this special day to you, I give you a happy Mother's Day.
Thank you. Thank you, Mom. Thank you for always being there for me and loving me. I've enjoyed going on walks with you this past year and talking with you. Thank you for everything that you do.
Happy Mother's Day, Mom. I love you. I like being with you. I like cooking with you. I like planting with you. And I love reading with you. You are a great mom and a great cook. I love you.
Happy Mother's Day. Thank you for being the best mom possible and reading me books every night.
Oh, hello. I'm gonna talk to my mama today. So, you don't really see this, but, well, it's Mother's Day, so it will be so great for a Mother's Day. So, what you know about Mother's Day is you always take care of your mother, but
My home's really cool. I really love them, and they're totally the best. I'm really glad that I get to spend time with them, and they're just overall really awesome.
Happy Mother's Day, Mom. I love you and hope you have a good Mother's Day.
Hi.
Hi.
Happy Mother's Day.
Thank you. And happy Mother's Day to you too.
Thank you. So what's a fun thing about having me as your mom?
We get to play a lot together, we get to snuggle.
Those are all good things I like about being your mom. And I'm sure when Simon learns to talk, he'll tell us some good things about being mom in this family. Happy Mother's Day from the Harding O'Reilly family.
Happy Mother's Day.
Happy Mother's Day.
Thanks to all those wonderful young people who submitted their videos, and a happy Mother's Day to everyone. Each year, we all make a commitment, a pledge, to support the ministry of our church. In addition to this contribution, each Sunday, we take a collection so that we can share with those doing justice beyond our church community. While we are unable to come together in person, you can still share your resources. To make your contribution, you can send a text and follow the prompts. You will have the number on your screen as the music plays for the offertory. For the month of May, we are sharing our plate with Interfaith Community for Detained Immigrants. And this morning, we will hear some words from Sarah Wullub.
Good morning and happy Mother's Day to everyone. I'm the Director of Outreach and Advocacy for the Interfaith Community for Detained Immigrants. Great to be with you. And today I would like to highlight our Harbor Hospitality Program. And this is the way that we provide welcome and hospitality for people who have been released out of detention, mostly asylum seekers. Many folks who come out of detention already have family members here, either because they are arriving to reunite with family or they have already lived here for years, sometimes decades, and they have a home to go to. But asylum seekers are often coming here with no networks at all. And so we're able to provide them with a home, either short-term or long-term, and also case management support. So to teach them everything that there is to know about being in learning to get around Chicago and navigating the schools and doctor's offices, and following up with their attorney to make sure that their application for work authorization is on track. And then when that work authorization comes through, finding employment. And so all of this work is really driven by volunteers. And the model that we use is a mentor-based model. And so we have a community or group of communities matched with an asylum seeker or a family of asylum seekers. And what this takes is 3 elements, which in total can be provided by one group or can be a group of groups coming together to provide those elements. So a group of mentors, volunteers who are willing to accompany this family and help show them everything that they need to know about living in the United States, and a place for them to live for 1 or 2 years, because it does take a while usually for the employment authorization to come through and to find a job. And then a monthly fee that goes toward paying for the living expenses of the family. So groceries and a CTA pass and cell phones and of course everything adds up. So if you as a group, or if you are a part of other groups or can imagine being a group that might be interested in supporting one of these existing communities in providing some of those elements that I talked to, or starting a new place on the north side of Chicago. We have one house already in Logan Square that's focused on LGBT asylum seekers especially. They already have their house set up and they have plenty of volunteers. The third element is partially there with funding and not fully funded. So if you want to jump in there, that's fine. And we could direct the collections of this month toward that. And there's another house in Englewood, which has the housing and finances okay, but are looking for mentor volunteers. So Englewood's a little bit of a drive from here, but not too far. So if you're interested in volunteering, could jump in that way. Or starting a brand new plant of a hospitality center right here on the north side would be fantastic. So I just want to lift up for you, it's really been a life transforming experience. I myself have been a mentor volunteer welcoming asylum seekers. It is humbling work sometimes, and it's also really life transforming work. And to be able to build those bridges and connections with people who have traveled so far in many different senses of the word, and to walk alongside them even for a week or a month is something that I will never forget. So I welcome you if you feel called to be a small part of this or a large part of this, to talk to us further about it. And I can put in the chat a flyer about the program. And I will also add to the chat, if you weren't here last week or haven't had a chance to talk to your state senator, we are still on the project of trying to pass a state law that would protect immigrants in several different ways. And one of those primary ways would be actually ending immigration detention. So we're expecting a vote in the Senate, perhaps as soon as this Tuesday, our state Senate in Springfield. So I will add to the chat. We have now a fancy way you can just add your name and address, and it will automatically send an email to your state senator. And if you are willing to send those across to friends across the state, we need support from all corners of the state. So it's good news. What final piece of good news is that the folks, the local folks in the McHenry Detention Center out northwest of Chicago, where there's been an ICE detention center for years and years, are really making progress on canceling their ICE contract. And so that would end one detention center in Illinois, perhaps as an introduction into ending all of the immigration detention centers. So we're just spreading the good news of people coming together to change the way that we welcome immigrants, to change the way that we can be hosts in a healthy way for immigrants here in Illinois and across the country. Thanks so much for being part of it, by hosting me and by being so generous and supporting all of the programming that we offer for our organization. Happy Mother's Day.
Now I invite you in to join me in reading our offertory words. The words are printed in your order of service and are on the screen. This church is the community of ourselves. Its energy and resources are our energy and resources. Its wealth is what we share. As we contribute to the life of this community, we affirm it and enable its participation in the larger world around us. The offering will now be generously given and gratefully received. Thank you.
Let us now open our hearts, still our minds, and enter into a time of prayer. Spirit of life, you've been a parent to us all. This is Mother's Day, a day set aside to honor, celebrate, and in some cases, simply to reflect on those women who gave us birth. We enter into this time with mixed emotions. Some of us come to this day with joy, with strong and tender feelings for the women who have earned the right to be called mother. They not only gave us our lives, they are responsible for shaping our spirit. They have fed us, played with us, nurtured us, listened to us. They have given unselfishly to us. They have loved us unconditionally. If our mothers are still living, we make the extra effort to stay in touch and find ways to give back a portion of the love which we have so abundantly received. If our mothers have died, we take the time to cherish our memories of them, memories which may flood our eyes with bittersweet tears of longing. We miss them, and we feel that loss even more acutely on this day, while also being grateful for their strength, wisdom, and beauty, and the gifts of life which they passed on to us. But for others, this day is not a day of celebration, but rather one of reflection. Perhaps we just cannot bring ourselves to buy that Hallmark card, that one that waxes poetically about a mother's love or her presence in our lives. Rather, we do feel her absence through death or indifference, and we may have a complicated, difficult, unhappy associations with the word mother. Instead, we may use this time to reflect on those who have mothered us, the people of any gender in our lives who have shown their love for us, whether through mothering or mentoring, those tough, gentle, truth-telling, loving, wise, whimsical people who have served as our family, our teachers, our mentors, our guides, and our friends. And on this Mothering Day, may we remember the great mother that sustains us all, whose body is the very substance of our existence, the very ground upon which we walk, the very source of our being. From whatever place of the spirit we come this morning, let us enter into a time of silence, knowing it is in this silence where great things fashion themselves. Amen. Blessed be. At this time, I will light 2 candles, one representing the joys and celebrations we are experiencing, and the other representing the concerns and sorrows we are holding. And as the music continues, I invite you to share your joys and your concerns in our chat window. We hold all of these joys, celebrations, sorrows, and struggles close to our hearts. I now invite Ellen to share our readings.
Our first reading is by Katie Lee Crane. May means Mother's Day. I'm going to trust Hallmark and daddies and 6-year-olds and grown-up kids who are mommies themselves to honor the mothers among us as they deserve to be honored, with brass bands, flags flying, breakfast in bed, and kitchens cleaned up afterwards. I wish for those mothers a memorable day full of love and laughter. Sadly, I don't trust Hallmark to remember the feelings of the people who don't fit Mother's Day in quite the same wonderful way. There are no cards on the rack for the women who gave up children for adoption, never to see them again. No cards for the women who face the painful and difficult choice to end a pregnancy. No cards for women who desperately want to conceive and bear children and cannot. No cards for people who have lost children of any age, or for the people whose children have abandoned them in anger. There is little consolation for them on a day so full of motherhood. Every year when Mother's Day rolls around, I wish there was just a little less hype about traditional motherhood and a little more acknowledgement of not so traditional mothers in our midst. People who come in all colors, shapes, sizes, genders, and ages. And more than anything, I wish there were a lot more empathy for those who suffer because, as mothers are being honored, they don't fit in quite the same wonderful way. Let us honor them all on this day. Women who conceived, women who bore, people who reared, people who lost, people who let go, people who made different choices, and all those wonderful people of any gender who mother us in many ways. Happy day. May each of you know your worth to all of us. Our second reading is an excerpt from the 1870 Mother's Day Proclamation by Julia Ward Howe. Arise then, women of this day. Arise, all women who have hearts, whether our baptism be that of water or of tears. Say firmly, we will not have great questions decided by irrelevant agencies. Our husbands shall not come to us reeking with carnage, for caresses and applause. Our sons shall not be taken from us to unlearn all that we have been able to teach them of charity, mercy, and patience. We, women of one country, will be too tender of those of another country to allow our sons to be trained to injure theirs. From the bosom of the devastated earth, a voice goes up with our own. It says, "Disarm, disarm." The sword of murder is not the balance of justice. Let us now hear today's anthem.
Let the mother hold you. Hold you all your days.
As we've mentioned many times, today is Mother's Day, a day we have set aside to honor motherhood. Some of you may have had breakfast in bed, and others may have received handmade or store-bought cards, and others may be receiving flowers, or your family is planning a special meal. And that's great. But there's another side to this day. Before we continue, let us note again that Mother's Day is a mixed blessing. Good for some, but not for others. For some, our relationships with our own mothers was not loving. If those relationships were fraught with abuse or neglect, we feel abandoned, or that our mothers had failed us, then this day may feel like a painful charade. Some of us know little or even nothing about our birth mothers. Others may have lost their moms at an early age, and still others may be grieving a recent loss or are on the brink of experiencing that loss. Then there are those of us who might be forgotten today, who are just not being acknowledged for mothering someone. We may feel that Mother's Day neglects our own situations. But today at 2U, we want to celebrate all those, not only those who have given birth, but folks who have mothered us through our lives, who have nurtured us and taught us and led us and held us, inspired us, disciplined us, and cried with us. Sometimes it seems like Mother's Day is just another commercial holiday set up by the greeting cards and the floral industries. But just how did that all get started? And is that all that Mother's Day should be? Festivals honoring mothers in ancient times were often tied to gods and goddesses. The Phrygians held a festival for Cybele, the great mother of the gods. The Greeks also honored Rhea, the mother figure of their gods. Early Christians celebrated the fourth Sunday of Lent as a mother's festival to honor Mary, the mother of Jesus. In 16th century England, this celebration was known as Mothering Sunday. Children, mainly daughters who had gone to work as domestic servants, would be given the day off on the fourth Sunday of Lent to return home to their mothers and their mother church. Family reunions were the order of the day, with sons and daughters assuming all household duties and preparing special dinners in honor of their mothers. The Mother's Day that we now celebrate in the United States was originally conceived as an anti-war movement and a rallying cry by Unitarian Julia Ward Howe. Howe, a prominent American abolitionist, feminist, poet, and the author of the Battle Hymn of the Republic, worked to have a day celebrated as Mother's Peace Day. And she wrote a Mother's Day proclamation calling on mothers to work towards peace. And we heard part of that proclamation earlier today. Howe nursed and tended to the wounded during Civil War and worked with the widows and orphans of soldiers on both sides, realizing that the effects of war go far beyond the killing of the soldiers in battle. The devastation she witnessed during the Civil War inspired her to call out for women to rise up through the ashes and devastation, urging a Mother's Day dedicated to peace. Howe's 1870 proclamation called upon mothers of all nationalities to band together to promote the amicable settlement of international questions, the great and general interests of peace. She envisioned a day of solemn council where women from all over the world would meet to discuss the means whereby to achieve peace. Following her proclamation, Howe began advocating for the creation of a Mother's Day for Peace to be held on June 2nd each year, and that initiative lasted about 25 years. Around the same time, Anne Reeves Jarvis, who also cared for wounded soldiers on both sides of the field during the Civil War, organized a Mother's Friendship Day, the goal of which was to foster reconciliation between former Union and Confederate soldiers by having them come together along with mothers from both sides. Anne Reeves Jarvis's original idea for a Mother's Day was a day for mothers, plural, not just a day for one's own mother. It was a day she envisioned on which mothers would get together for a day of service to help out other mothers who were less fortunate than they were. After Anne Reeves Jarvis died, her daughter Anna honored her memory by sending 500 white carnations, which was her mother's favorite flower, to her congregation at Andrews Methodist Episcopal Church in her hometown of Grafton, West Virginia. This was on May 10th, 1908, and is considered by many to be America's first Mother's Day. The carnation later became a symbol for Mother's Day, representing life, love, and endurance. As she spread the word about the holiday, she always traced it back to the moment when in 1876, she heard her mother recite the following prayer after teaching Sunday school. I hope and pray that someone, sometime, will found a memorial Mother's Day commemorating her for the matchless service she renders to humanity in every field of life. Anna vowed to fulfill her mother's dream. Anna Jarvis, who was never a mother herself, later campaigned to make Mother's Day a national holiday, and by 1912, she started the Mother's Day International Association. Partnerships with florists and successful letter writing campaigns to state governors helped the holiday get recognized at eventually the state and federal level. And in 1914, Congress declared the second Sunday in May to be Mother's Day. Over time, though, Jarvis came to lament the commercialization of the holiday. From 1920 till her death in 1948, she fought hard to prevent businesses from profiting by means of Mother's Day cards, candy, flowers, and gifts. But that's just where we find ourselves today. Nothing remains of either Howe's or the Jarvis's vision and the sanitized, money-driven consumer mania that is today's Mother's Day. But there's no reason it has to stay that way. As long dormant political traditions experience revivals in our age of lopsided plenty, it's a good time to remember the original aim of what is possibly America's most misunderstood holiday. Today, we can recognize that mamahood is not one size fits all. But most popular images of mothers exclude mamas based on their sexual orientation, race, income, immigration status, and more. And Mother's Day, which is one of the biggest commercial holidays in the United States, often just reinforces the ideas of family and motherhood that narrowly define family in one way. But what about the rest of us? Mama's Day is a program of Forward Together, an organization led by women of color to build a vibrant community of social change makers. Mama's Day is a celebration of our mamas everywhere. In its 10th year, Mama's Day celebrates trans mamas, immigrant mamas, single mamas, lesbian mamas, young mamas, poor mamas, and people of all gender who mother, especially those who bear the brunt, the hurt of hurtful policies and are weighed down by the stigma of our culture. It's an opportunity to take action to create conditions so that all families can thrive. Let's not forget that the social justice origins of the early day Mother's Day movements can still be with us. While Mother's Day has presently lost its early edge for justice, it's important to note that the underpinning intentions and recommit ourselves to its prescient calling. At a time when our country is again engaged in devastating and costly wars abroad, and many of our own communities are torn apart by violence, it's time for Mother's Day to return to its roots. So what can we do now? Well, we can commit ourselves to fighting violence within our own communities, learning more, joining peace movements, attending conferences. One place that we can start is to consider attending Chicago Area Peace Action's Peace Summit, which will be held on May 22nd and 23rd. It is a free virtual conference for peace entitled Organizing Toward Peace, Justice, and Conflict Resolution. Chicago Area Police Action, CAPA, is a grassroots Chicago-based nonprofit affiliate of the national organization Peace Action. Their vision is a world in which justice prevails for all, free of the devastation caused by war, racism, poverty, nuclear weapons, and environmental degradation. You can find more information about that organization in our chat. In the spirit of the original Mother's Day for Peace, we can learn more about the group Moms Demand Action, a grassroots movement of Americans fighting for public safety measures that protect people from gun violence. The group was founded by Shannon Watts, a mother of 5, the day after the Sandy Hook school shooting. Part of the Everytown for Gun Safety movement, each state has a local chapter. You may want to check out their Facebook page. 2U is a member of the Illinois Gun Violence Prevention Coalition, a group of 190 organizations from hospitals to churches to domestic violence policy organizations working together in the fight to reduce death and injury caused by gun violence in Illinois through education, research, organizing, and enforcement around public policy. Our social justice ministry is a good place to learn more about this coalition. In your chat should be more information about Moms Demand Action and the Illinois Gun Violence Prevention Coalition. Let us also remember our great mother, Earth, who has given life to us all. She is our home. We must find peace here. We can commit ourselves to environmental justice in our everyday lives. Caring for the interdependent web of life is a core spiritual value of Unitarian Universalism. We can explore the resources and activism of the UU Ministry for Earth, or we can learn more and engage with 2U Social Justice Ministry Program for creating climate justice. Yes, there is much we can do. And in the spirit of Ward Howe's original call, this occasion can be a time to dedicate ourselves on behalf of our mothers and fathers, brothers and sisters everywhere, to rise up and protect our most vulnerable by calling for our leaders to make a directional shift in the course of our nation. There is no need more urgent than addressing the devastation brought on by violence in all of its forms, affecting the lives of untold millions in our nation and around the world. Then we may finally see the carnage and violence and devastation and war fade into its own history. Then and only then can we finally reclaim Howe's vision of a Mother's Day for peace. Blessed be.
Please join me in singing our closing hymn, number 131, Love Will Guide Us. The words are on your screen. Love will guide us, peace has tried us, hope inside us will lead the way on the road from green
to place your hands across your heart or take the hand of someone with whom you share space as we hear our benediction words. Go forth into your week, remembering our greatest mother, the earth on which we live. Let us honor her by celebrating all those who have given us life, all those who mother, and all those who work for peace. Blessed be and amen.